How did Soul get that far down the list?
Is the CGI worse than Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
No, no,
It
it's not.
It is.
Just go and watch the documentary Apollo 11 instead, and you'll have a much better time.
That's a terrible, terrible, terrible opinion.
Hello and welcome to Every Movie Ranked, brought to you by the Angry Microwave. On this show, what we do, it says it in the title, doesn't it? We are trying to rank every movie ever made. It's a collaborative effort, and it's going wrong already, but we'll discuss that in a second. I'm Brad. With me, as always, is Callum. And is that a special guest I see, Callum?
It is. It's Cameron Howe from Oh Hi Films. Hello, Cameron.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks. What do you think of the format of trying to rank every single film?
I think you're insane. I think that's the only kind of word to describe you all. Insane.
But yeah, so go on, take it away, Brad, if you want to explain what we do at the end of the show.
If you think we're insane just for the concept of the show, I think we realised quite early on, especially more so when we have guests on, the more voices we have, I think the more combative the efforts are when we're trying to pitch where we think a movie should be in our list. At the moment, we have we have 14 films on the list. And Cameron, you haven't seen this list yet, have you?
Nope. No.
Now, what we like to do is when a guest comes on the show, we give you the power to move one film up or down one place in the list. So basically, I think I know where you're going to go with your power here. Just bear in mind that if you see something you don't like, it's probably because we've had differing opinions, most likely with the guest, but we'll go through that shortly. So, Callum, shall we show Cameron the top 14 films of all time?
Okay, so this is the list. Brad, do you want to run through?
Yeah, so the bottom half of the list, we've got 14 films at the moment. From 14 to 8, we have Hubie Halloween, Zombieland Double Tap, First Man, The Kid Who Would Be King, Batman and Robin, Ready Player One, and El Camino. At the top half, we've got Midsummer, Soul, The Meg at 5, Happy Death Day at 4, Wayne's World at 3, School of Rock at 2, and Mission Impossible Fallout as the greatest movie of all time at the moment. Cameron, what are you thinking?
What the hell happened? That's what I want to know.
What's your mind going towards? What are you thinking?
Just First Man being so low. That's one of the main ones screaming at me. I love School of Rock and I love Mission Impossible Fallout. Okay. I don't know if they're top 2 material for the greatest movies of all time, but First Man being so, I really want to know what happened there.
Well, actually, I can tell you what happened.
Don't blame me. Okay, so don't fully blame me.
I will blame you because basically we like to let the guests pick one or two movies when they come on the show. First Man was one of the movies that was suggested to us on last week's show, and I hadn't seen it before, and I actually really liked it. And then Callum jumped in with his 1 minute uninterrupted and said this needs to be down the bottom.
Just go and watch Apollo 11. Just go and watch the documentary Apollo 11 instead, and you'll have a much better time.
Oh, that's a terrible, terrible, terrible opinion. That's maybe one of the worst opinions I've heard.
Oh. So, what do you make of the rest of the list there, Cameron? What are you thinking? Is First Man the one that you're going to? I think.
Well, do I only get to move up one place?
Yes. Is that one film by one place?
So that's the thing. Like, I think Soul is obviously better than The Meg, but I wouldn't waste my power here on moving it, not moving First Man, because First Man is so low and it should be much higher than this. And I hope more guests that come on just make the attempt to move that up further. So yeah, I would move First Man to 11, but I would also move Soul if I had the power to just do what I wanted. I'd move Soul up a couple spots. That. But apart from that, it's a pretty solid looking list so far.
Okay, so
now, Callum and I were saying this on the previous show where we feel like obviously it's such a strange list because we've got movies that are at the top, which I think are just world-class movies that I think will be up there for a long time to come. And at the bottom, we have absolute trash. But in the middle, it's just such a cluster of movies that, I think do split opinion. Such as First Man, because like I said, I liked that movie, and thank you for correcting Callan on his incorrect opinion there.
I will correct that opinion all day long. That is just atrocious. I love Apollo 11 as well, though. I thought Apollo 11 was amazing, but at the same, First Man is just brilliant on another level.
Yeah.
It's not a bad film. The problem is that so far all the films are basically like 3.5-star films and above. We apart from Shuby Halloween's like the only bad film we have on this list so far.
Well, I think First Man probably better than 3.5 stars though. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Yep.
But I was bullied out of it, Cameron. So thanks for having my side on this one. I think we're going to get on just fine. So should we take a look at the list, or should we go straight into the first film of the day?
Let's go straight into the first film.
Okay, so the first film of the day, we have The Personal History of David Copperfield. Callum, why don't you take your minute first?
Okay. So, this is one of the films where I think my kind of experience of the film was hindered by the way I saw it. I saw it at London Film Festival, Clang, and it was the worst experience I've ever had. Somebody brought their newborn child and 2 other kids and gave them iPads, and they were sat with their iPads really loudly playing it at a film festival. And everyone was just tutting, but nobody was doing anything. It was awful. So, there's my kind of disclaimer. But I did not enjoy this film. Like, it just seemed like all the different actors were on different wavelengths in their performance, and it just seemed so like over the place. Like Peter Capaldi was great. Like it was just all so over the place. And I wasn't. It felt like some of them were in like a comedy, some of them were in like a serious like drama, some of them were in like a Lifetime movie. It was just all over the place for me. So yeah, like this is definitely in the lower quadrant of our list for me. Like I just didn't enjoy this film at all, and I love The Death of Stalin, so I was quite surprised that this
Callum, your rule, son. Your minute's up. Why don't we go over to Cameron next? I'm interested to see what he has to say about this one.
I'll finish off with what you were saying, was because I love The Death of Stalin as well, but I really did not enjoy David Copperfield whatsoever. It was just I find it so tedious and boring as well. Like it was just so, it was like missing like the oomph of like In the Loop and Death of Stalin. There was none of that, which I was kind of maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it so much, because I was hoping more for, you know, Death of Stalin, In the Loop kind of stuff. But yeah, Peter Capaldi was great. It was just so you know, it's just really rubbed me the wrong way. But yeah, I can't fill the next 20 seconds because it's just such a meh film to me. I watched it last night and on Amazon Prime, and I was like, this was much worse than I remember, which is saying something because I really didn't enjoy it in the cinemas.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, when someone doesn't use up a full minute, you know that they really don't like a film. So I would actually go further from what you two just said. I would say it's actively a dull, bland film. I think Peter Capaldi was okay. I think it was entertaining enough, but it wasn't enough to save anything that was surrounding him. There's only one thing that I enjoy about this movie, and that was Hugh Laurie. I thought he was good, but again, I don't even know what it was trying to be. I don't know what genre it was trying to be. I don't know if it was trying to be funny, because I didn't particularly laugh. I just don't know what it was trying to go for. I didn't find it engaging. And I did something in this film that I hate doing, but I checked how long was left. And I was in the cinema, so I had to check my watch. And I was that guy who had his watch light up in the cinema. But I just didn't have a nice time, and it's definitely going to be in the lower part of the list.
This is Tilda Swinton, right? If I remember rightly.
Oh, but you hate
yes,
her.
It does.
She ruins every film that she's in. She just appears and just ruins films. Like, I honestly don't know what she's doing.
I don't think that's true, but you have a real special place in your.
I mean, The Dead Don't Die. She like that film was okay until she came into it, and then it just nosedived in The Dead Don't Die. And then
and Dead Don't Die. That's like, don't get me started on that, man. That's an atrocious film.
I absolutely love Adam Driver, so I give that film way too much grace than what it probably deserves. But yeah, like I do feel like everyone was just so over the place in this film. Like it did not feel consistent, and not even in a wacky way, like where that was what they were going for. It didn't even feel like that. It just felt like it had no voice behind it as well. It's kind of
that's exactly it. I didn't know what they were trying to go for, because I don't think they actually knew. I don't think it's engaging enough. I don't think it's funny enough. I don't think it's dramatic enough to be compelling in any way, shape, or form. And if we're going to take a look at the list, it's definitely below First Man. And I'm pretty sure Cameron's got my back on that one.
Yep, definitely.
It's definitely below First Man. I haven't seen The Kid Who Would Be King, so I can't judge that. But I think it's Zombieland double tap levels of meh.
Yeah, I think it's above Hubie Halloween, but below Zombieland, which is kind of mad. Like,
Well, as a person who enjoys who enjoyed Zombieland Double Tap and enjoyed Hubie Halloween, like just not like not like 5-star films, but I enjoyed them. I would say it's worse than both those. So, yeah.
So we've got a contender for worse than Hubie Halloween. Okay, I never thought this would happen this quickly.
Okay, the one thing that I'd say about Hubie Halloween, okay, is that at least they knew what they were going for. It wasn't my humor. It wasn't really something that I enjoy. But Callum and I have both said that we find Adam Sandler's performance in that insulting, but we don't know who to. But at least it kind of
felt
I
consistent.
knew what it was trying to go for. I think with a comedy, like specifically, I think you kind of have to appreciate that it may not be like for you. I don't know who this film is for. I don't know who it's for.
It's for like people in their 60s, I think, because that was when I went to go and see it at the Cineworld, that was who was there, was people in their 60s. It was just sort of like, I don't know. It's based on a Charles Dickens novel, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
So it's kind of aiming for that, but also who's wanting is that a comedy like?
I was so surprised when people were coming out saying it's a comedy, but like even the release of this film felt like Disney/Fox didn't really care. Like I think it came out in the US like a year and a half or like a full year after. Like it premiered.
Came out during the pandemic. It was supposed to come out this year. It came out this year, but in the pandemic, so they just dropped it on like iTunes or something.
Literally, it was just like, fuck this. We don't know what to do with this film. Yeah.
So would you pull it? So Cameron, you pull it below Hubie Halloween. You put it at the bottom of the list.
I think I would put it at the bottom of the list. But I have a special hatred for this movie, so I had to. Yeah. Like, kicked off 2020 in the worst way for me.
Like, I really would never want to watch this film again. Like, I wouldn't mind watching Hubie Halloween as a thing in the background if it was on like TV, which it never would be. It's on Netflix. But like, if it was on TV, okay. If this was on TV, I would actively turn it off, even if I wasn't watching it. I would stop somebody else from experiencing the pain and dullness that I found with this.
No, for me, and I don't mean any insult here, Cameron, because I don't know the reasons why you enjoyed Hubie Halloween. But for me, I think, I think Hubie Halloween is at least like Batman and Robin, where if you're not laughing with it, you can kind of laugh at it at points. I can't even do that. This is the worst kind of bad movie, where it's just not engaging in any way. And so... Spoiler alert, I've just chucked it at the bottom of the list. That's where it is. It's 15th out of 15.
Very exciting.
But will it be there for long?
That's the question.
So should we go and take a look at the list now?
Yes, I'll try to segue into the next movie as well. That was a great segue. Yes, so there it is at the bottom of the list there, below Hubie Halloween, which I thought would be down at the bottom for a long time to come.
You know what? This film's also got a really long title, which is going to mess up my graphics eventually. So thanks for that. Like, bloody hell.
Okay, the next film we're going to be talking about is Gemini Man. Now, Callum hasn't seen this movie. I'll take the lead first. You jammy fucker, Callum. Right. So we were messaging yesterday, okay, saying, okay, I haven't seen Gemini Man. Shall we swap it out? And he said, no, I haven't seen it either. We'll watch it tonight and we'll talk about it. We'll keep it in. He's done me the dirty here. He hasn't seen the movie.
It's a 1-for-1 with The Kid Who Would Be King. It's fine.
No. I guarantee you, I haven't seen The Kid Who Would Be King, obviously, but this is worse than that. This is worse than that. The last scene, right, in the movie, spoiler alert, no one gives a shit, no one watched it anyway, right? You can't have a fully CGI... Now I realise why most of the film took place in the dark, is because as soon as you put this character in the daylight, it was atrocious. I've seen PS2 graphics that are better than this. Anyway, this was written by one of the guys that was going to write Star Wars, David Benioff, who did Game of Thrones. I'm angry. I didn't even say anything of note there. I'm angry.
Okay, Cameron.
I've seen this film 3 times. Once was because I thought it was going to be in high... I only kind of watched this film because of Ang Lee, who directed it. He did like The Life of Pi, the bad Hulk movie, but not the worst Hulk movie. Who knows? It's up for debate. And and somehow and Billy Lynn's Halftime Walk, and he made this movie in 120 frames per second, and that was one of the interests I had towards this movie. It wasn't the action or whatever, it was the fact that it was shot in 120 frames per second. I bought the 4K Bluray to see it in 120 frames per second. Not 120, it's 60 frames per second. And let me tell you, it looks so strange. So like, imagine the way you saw it, but like weirder. That's how it. So it just gives everything this weird, uncinematic, just tint to it. So everything feels everything feels too real, but not real enough. And it's just so weird. But I had fun. I know I've run out of time, but I kind of find that the action scene is quite fun.
So Brad, I will ask a few questions about this film as I've not seen it. First of all, is the CGI worse than Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It is. And I'll tell you, at parts it is, and I'll tell you why. The reason I think that is because there are moments in this film, specifically when he's having the characters having conversations with I forgot his name. I love him to bits. I can't remember now. He does the betting
Clive
adverts.
Owen.
Thank you. Yeah, Clive Owen. When the character's standing still, he looks really good. He does. He looks really good. And so I was actually surprised by that, because people were moaning about the CGI in this film, because that's one of the reasons that put me off watching it, because like, it's almost 2 hours long. I can't put up 2 hours of something that didn't work. Like, I'm not going to waste my money on that. But at parts, it looks good. But the action sequences, when they're riding around on bikes or when they're running across rooftops, it just doesn't flow. And what I'd say about the FPS, I think even when you convert it down to when I was watching it on Sky in 24 frames a second, it looks like a Lifetime movie, because it doesn't feel right. And I don't understand why they carry on doing it. It didn't work for The Hobbit when they shot that in 60 frames a second. It didn't work in Mulan when they shot that in 60 frames per second. Why did they think shooting it in 120 frames per second would work? It just doesn't feel...
Nobody's asking for 60 frames per second movies. There's literally nobody out there asking for it. Like,
I find it kind of cool, but just from like a weird nerdy perspective on like just kind of like that. That's why I was kind of curious to see it. I was in London when it came out, and I was gutted that they were using the Dolby Cinema in London for the film festival when I was there, because I really wanted to see it in like 120 frames in a Dolby Cinema.
Oh, Gemini Man was not at the film festival.
No, it wasn't actually, but who'd have thought it? So yeah, I was gutted by that, but yeah, I disagree that the CGI is bad all the time. I think the worst scene is the broad daylight scene at the very end, because I think that must have been in reshoots or something. That must have been like done like, we've got a month left. That must have been the worst, because I think he looks quite good on the bike. Most of it's in the darkness, so you can barely see a thing anyway. So
do they conveniently put helmets on when they're on the bike so they haven't got a CGI?
No,
actually, they don't.
No,
surprising.
No, one thing I will say, it probably is better than Luke Skywalker. I was just annoyed by it, because it didn't bother me until that last sequence. And literally, I finished watching this film 10 minutes before we started recording this, and I think that's why it's still raw, because I felt like it let me down. Cameron, is what happened there. One thing I will say about this film, actually, even though I just found the plot just so all over the place, in my notes I've put younger. Will Smith did a good performance in the younger version of him, but he didn't perform, did he? That isn't a performance. Like,
is Gollum a performance? Is that like a,
Well, how did they shoot the younger?
I'm pretty sure they just de-aged them. I'm pretty sure it's like, is it not just Will Smith? They did like the body double thing with, in Captain America, the first Avenger, where they had like a mini person play Steve before he got the injection, and then. Well, I don't know. Like, he was like a scrawny man.
Sure, this is a fully CG. I don't think it was a case of they replaced him. Apart from
no, he's not a fully like, he is a guy. There's a guy there.
Okay, in which case I appreciate it a lot less, because the whole face swap has been done a lot better, and it was done a lot better 10 years ago in The Social Network. If that's the case,
it was just a novelty film. Like, if they recast Will Smith and put somebody else in it, would this film be even more trash? Like Looper,
no, because Will Smith doesn't save it. That's what I was thinking about when I watched it again today, was the fact that I love Will Smith in almost anything, and he's like got this like charisma. I just love him in it, but he doesn't have it in this. He just loses every like inch of charisma Will Smith has, so he just becomes another bland character.
You know what this film looks like? It looks like the kind of film you see in a movie game like Grand Theft Auto. It's what this movie looks like. That they've just taken like the piss. It's like a parody film, like just some generic action film.
Might as well be.
But yeah, okay. Should we have a look at the list and see where it goes? This is definitely filling out the bottom half of his list today. So,
Sorry, I was literally just reading an article. Then I'm pretty sure it was just a virtual face.
Is it just? Well, that's what I mean. Is it just? I didn't think. I thought the face was the face. They did like one scene where he was in it, and then another scene where it was Will Smith. Like they did like a different man.
Well, they might have done the Irishman thing where they basically rebuilt the face over. I think
something like that. I don't know.
Does anyone care?
I don't know.
But sometimes the film works, and to be honest, there are scenes where it sticks out like a sore thumb, and there are scenes where I'm like, I just forget, and I think for that reason, it's not as bad as what I was made to believe that it was going to be, because it doesn't fall as short of expectations as what I thought it was going to, if that makes sense. The plot is all over the place. Is it a good action movie? I mean, it's almost one long action movie. I mean, you can't take that away from it. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think, is actually underused because I think she's great anyway. I don't know. I didn't hate it. It was just a bit of nothing, but it's less of nothing than what David Copperfield is. So I don't know. What do you think, Cameron?
I'm kind of tempted. I didn't like Ready Player One, but I've not seen El Camino, so I can't comment on that. So I'm honestly thinking like 8. Like that's where I'm at, because it's like
you think it's better. You think it's better than First Man.
Well, that's the issue, is that I have to now go, well, you put First Man solo, but I also don't like Ready Player One at all. So I'm just kind of like, do I stop it where like the first time I like shows up, or do I just keep going until I get to something I really like? I don't think it's better than First Man.
I haven't seen this film, but surely it can't be better than Ready Player One. Ready Player One's a masterpiece. It literally is. It looks like okay. No, I'll rephrase that. It's a good film in a cinema, is what I should say.
Well, in the right circumstances, I watched Gemini Man in my little home cinema setup with my family, and we really like enjoyed it for like, because the bike sequence is great. I thought like that they've seen in, I don't even know where they are, like some just place, like some European place or whatever, I don't know. And there's a really great bike chase through that, and like a good shootout as well, where he shoots a grenade off of he shoots a grenade midair and shoots it back at him, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's a great fun time, but I didn't like Ready Player One rubs me the wrong way. So
no, so I'm with Cameron. I actively like despise Ready Player One. I don't like that film at all. And if I had to watch either this or Ready Player One, I'd watch this again. And I watched this today, and I'd watch this again.
What blasphemy is going on?
So for me, I'd put it below Batman and Robin, because love that movie. Don't even care what anyone says. I can have fun with Batman and Robin. First Man is a good film. It's becoming more and more obvious that First Man should not be that far down the list.
No, it really shouldn't. It's really hurting the entire format, I have to say. It's like
okay, right.
You saying Batman and Robin is a worse film than First Man?
I think we're all saying that, are we not?
Okay. I personally would put Gemini Man, just because even though First Man is too far down the list, it's better than Ready Player One. I think Ready Player One needs bringing down the list more than what First Man needs bringing up the list, which actually I'm pretty sure that's what Cameron said at the top of the show anyway.
Well, yeah. he had an opportunity to change it and he didn't, so that's the end of that conversation.
Okay, well, you know, would you be happy, Cameron, to put this below El Camino and above Ready Player One?
Happily. I think that's exactly where it deserves to be. I think we just need to kind of give up on First Man. I think First Man needs to be just left at sea now. It is where it is. You've got to kind of move on from it, unfortunately, which shouldn't be the case. It should be much higher, but
Well,
you've just got to kind of move on.
Just to entice you to come back on the show, Cameron, when we hit 20 films, I guess we'll have the opportunity to move films up or down 2 spaces on the list. So if it does bother you that much, feel free to come back on the show.
I'm coming back. If that's the case.
Come back every week until it's near the top.
Exactly.
Okay, so shall we take a look at the updated list, Callum? So there we go. We've got Gemini Man there in the top 10 movies of all time. Wow. There's me saying when I started talking about this film that this film pissed me off, but
I wish I saw this film now because it totally should not be above Ready Player One, but it is what it is.
But I'd say the same about Ready Player One as what I said about no, I was talking about Ready Player One, wasn't I? No, sorry, about the personal history of David Copperfield. Is that it's just a nothing. In fact, no, David Copperfield didn't bother me. Ready Player One actively felt like it wasted my time. I just did not like that film at all. And there are scenes in this film, even though I did have a problem with some of the CGI and I did have a problem with the storytelling, there are action sequences that keep you entertained enough that I didn't switch it off. I could have lied about watching the film. But, you know.
Well, wouldn't we all love a second referendum? But clearly that's not allowed in this day and age.
Okay, so a slight change of pace now. We're going to be talking about Room. Cameron, why don't you start us off with this one?
Okay. I absolutely adore Room. Room is probably one of my favorite films. It's just magnificent. I think I don't cry a lot of movies, but like the scene where they leave, because it's split into 2 halves. One half is when they're in the room, and the other half is them kind of adjusting to being out of the room. But there's a sequence right directly in the middle of the film where they get out of the room, and it's this kid just experiencing and just being overwhelmed by the world for the first time, and it's just amazing. Brie Larson's performance, my God, the Academy Award that year was very well deserved, I have to say. I wouldn't actively follow the other films that were available. I think it was well before when I really got into movies, but it just blows me away every single time. I love Room. Actively, just the way it's shot, the story, it's just so good. I just love it. Yeah, I'm running out of things to say because I know I've got 5 seconds and my brain's going mental. But yeah, Brie Larson's amazing. Jacob Tremblay's amazing. Woohoo, Room.
Who's next, Callum?
I'll go if that's cool.
Go on.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Cameron said. I went into this film, I think it was like a limited screening, and I had no idea what this film was at this time. And I went in, and I was so pleasantly shocked. So spoilers for Room, but that they actually escaped like the room. I was really shocked by that happening, and that made the film so much stronger. Because naturally, I thought, oh, so it's going to end and they escape Room, and then that's it. But the film is so much more powerful by having that whole journey of like the aftermath of what they went through. Jacob Tremblay, I feel like he's going to be like a DiCaprio at some point, like acting at that age. This film could have been ruined so quickly if they didn't cast the kid right. But like Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay, like they both should have been up for like lead actors for Oscars because both of them were amazing. Yeah, it's just so good. Like even William H. Macy, I think is his name, who plays Brie Larson's dad. Just it's so good, and it yeah, I just love this film so much. It's a masterpiece. But yeah, Brad.
Okay. This film's awful. No, I'm joking. It's great. I'm gonna say it now. I think it goes above Wayne's World. It goes straight into number 3 for me. I know Wayne's World is a classic, but Cam and I were talking on this show the other week or a couple of episodes ago, and sometimes I think we have to judge the film based on like how strong they are for their genre, for example. So for me, this is a far superior drama than what Wayne's World is a comedy, for me personally. I love it. I love the break from the classic 3-act structure. It's perfectly split down the middle, like you say, and everything that takes place in Room it just hits you right in the heart and it hits you in the gut. And then I think it only gets stronger, and just to see that contrast. But I think Jacob Tremblay now is a DiCaprio. I do think he's phenomenal, but Brie Larson, flawless in this.
It's been a very like unanimous kind of like episode. This it's honestly, it's so strong. It's just, And I think the thing that I enjoy about this is a character piece and a lot more at the same time. And I just thought, yeah, the whole thing was just written so well, and it was, yeah.
So where would it fit in the list for you?
So I agree with it's above Wayne's World. So it's basically whether it's going for number one, number two, or number three. And it's really hard.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's like the first time we've had like a drama kind of in here. So it makes it really hard to do. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's just another like backhand to First Man, Callum. What are you on about? We've got a drama in here, and it's a great drama.
I feel like it should be above School of Rock, but below Mission Impossible Fallout. Just, but they're films are so different.
Yeah, they're like the most different films you can get. Like number one in there. Oh my god, that's very difficult because I love Fallout. I would be tempted to put it at number one personally. I think, but it's one of my favorites. So, yeah. But I think it's a better movie than Fallout. As good as Fallout is, and I have a big soft spot for School of Rock, but it's a better movie.
They are literally opposites. Like Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
it is like gigantic world action film, and then Room is literally a basement with two characters acting the shit out of it. So,
But does Jacob Tremblay cock his wrists when he's reloading his muscle? Does he do that? No, he doesn't. I don't know. I think Fallout is one of the best action movies of all time. I adore that movie, and I still adore that movie. I've probably watched it every year since it came out, although it came out 3 years ago, so that's not saying much. I don't know. It's what has more flaws, this or Fallout? I guess that's what it comes down to. I don't think either of them have too many in the way of flaws, but I don't know if there's anything in this that I could possibly change. Like, even to this day,
there's no devil's argument for this. It makes it a really boring film to talk about.
but like from when they go back to visit Room to when he's in the back of the truck and he's looking for the signposts, like there are images that even though I watched this film years ago that stay with me because that's how much it hit. It is definitely above Wayne's World. What did you say about School of Rock, Callum? Would you say it's above School of Rock? Because I know that's near and dear to your heart, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I can really compare the two. It sounds so stupid. Like School of Rock is perfect. It's a fun film, but again, there are flaws in School of Rock. As much as I don't like to admit that, but like I don't know.
That's not true.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's above School of Rock. It's number one and number two for me.
Okay.
I would prefer Mission Impossible Fallout to stay number one. So I would pitch. It's happened again. Brad's now got to decide.
You do it every week.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Fallout and then Room, but they're both so close. I would be happily take it as number one. I wouldn't hold a grudge.
The thing is, I can't even do the classic, what would I rather watch if I had to watch one right now? Room's not a film that I could watch during a pandemic. It would depress me too much. But it's just phenomenal. It's such a good drama. But again, like Fallout is generally one of my favorite movies of all time. You're such a scumbag for passing this over to me, Callum.
Yeah, Brie Larson, like both of them, like
Academy Award winning Brie Larson for this. It's well deserved.
It's so difficult because they are so different. So back to you for a second, Cameron. You're quite set on this being number one, right?
I think so. I love Fallout. I'm kind of in the same boat where it's tearing me apart a little bit, but at the same time, I think this is a different level in terms of just, I don't know, it just sets a different kind of, it's a different genre completely, but I think it's a different level of film because it's I don't know, it's more serious. But then I'm also an advocate for I love a big popcorn flick. I'm a big fan of that, and I don't want to say like, oh, this is much better because it's much more artistic and that. I don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I can't think of any other argument to put it at number one, so just have to live with that. Yeah, I don't know. I would say number one for Room.
Okay, you know, okay, I'm going to put this at number one. And I'll put it at number one because I think there's enough in this film, just purely down to the story beats and how it is basically a film in two halves. I think it's fresh enough and it's original enough in its execution. And by that I mean I don't think I've actually felt like this in a movie in a very long time. Fallout, I absolutely adore it. I still think that Fallout should be up there for a long time to come. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm having a tough time with this. It's going number one. It's going number one.
Oh wow, we're doing it. That's exciting.
We're doing number one. We'll lock it in. Again, I love Mission Impossible, but for me, if we're talking about could they have made this film any better? No, Mission Impossible Fallout, I'd probably say the same thing. But it's a close. Can we have them joint first? Is that a thing?
No,
That's cheating, isn't it?
I think that definitely makes a flaw in our format if we start having that happening.
Oh man,
It is just such a good movie, though. It is just such a good film, and I think the job of a drama is to provoke emotion. That's exactly what this film did, and yeah, I mean, everyone talks about young Jacob Tremblay, but Brie Larson for me absolutely just is heartbreaking in this film, and it's just so real and authentic, and there's just some raw talent on display both behind the camera and in front of the camera that I think it just edges Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay, so we got a new leader. Should we go and take a look at their scoreboards?
Let's go take a look. Okay, so we've got a new number one and we've got a new bottom of the pile on this list. Actually, wasn't expecting that to happen. So let's go from 17 through to 1. We've got at the bottom the personal history of Who Cares. At 16, we've got Hubie Halloween. At 15, Zombieland Double Tap. At 14, The Kid Who Would Be King, followed by First Man, much to Cameron's disgust. That is edged out by Batman and Robin, which started off as a joke, but now it is starting to irritate me slightly that it is above First Man. And then further up the list, we have Ready Player One, which is still up there. Good Lord. Gemini Man is at number 10. El Camino at number 9. Coming in at 8 is Midsummer. 7 is Soul. At 6 is The Meg. And the top five, just to clarify, Cameron, The Meg was not our decision. At 5, we have Happy Death Day. At 4, we have Wayne's World. At 3, we have School of Rock. And then what was number 1, Mission Impossible Fallout, has now gone down to number 2, with the new number 1 being The Fantastic Room.
I just have a quick question, just because I know I meant to ask this. How did Soul get that far down the list?
Okay. So, okay. Me and Brad were in the exact same position. We came in thinking it was going to go number 1. And then our friend and hopefully regular guest, David Hoare, came on. And he basically told us that Soul is a body swap film and basically talked us out of ever enjoying Soul again. Because once you know that it's basically Freaky Friday but dressed up with a few emotions, it starts to lose some of the weight. I mean,
that's a load of rubbish.
It's literally
that is a load of rubbish.
It's Freaky Friday. It's literally a body swap
not.
film. It's so not needed. Now I know it's a body swap film. I've been talked at thinking that film is also a masterpiece.
Come on, it's a body swap. It may be a body swap film, but it's a body swap film with a lot of heart and a lot. I've probably seen it twice. It brought me to tears both times, and I had the privilege of seeing it in a cinema as well, which I think I get.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous about that. I was kind of hoping that it was going to have some release, and obviously the old pandemic happened. So
yeah,
I would say that it would be higher up the list. It would be above The Meg, but our guest on last week's show was adamant that The Meg is the best film of all time.
Oh my god!
Had to have some compromise on that. And Happy Death Day is probably down to me because I adore that movie more than most. I just have so much fun with it. And so, yeah, Soul is number 7. But if you come on the show again, Cameron, feel free to move that up the list.
I'm gonna move. I've got a lot of decisions to make here, and I feel like I can fix your list. Don't worry, guys.
So Gemini Man is 3 places away from Soul. Just to give that some brevity.
Oh, we need to reassess that. What? I didn't think of it like that. No, but it's. I think it all comes down to Ready Player One. I think Ready Player One is definitely too high up the list, up there in 11th. And First Man should be, above Gemini Man, but definitely above Ready Player One.
Yeah, and that's going to be your issue going forward. Is people who love First Man just going to have to accept the fact that it's there now, and it's going to have to just stay at the bottom of the pile for like the rest of the time, because everyone's going to be like, "Well, I love First Man, but it's so low down that you can't not have it at number like Room." Because I think First Man and Room maybe not over it, but like they should be close to each other. I feel, and it's just very, it's just very strange.
So,
and I would definitely like to remind everyone watching, and yourself, Cameron, as I said earlier in the show, the First Man is where it is, and Ready Player One is where it is because of Callum. So thank you everyone for watching today's.
Don't forget, Bradley, we round off this show by asking our guest, is this a sustainable idea for a podcast?
Oh, it is. It definitely is. I love this. I love this format. It's a great format.
Okay.
This is, yeah.
It's becoming stressful, though. It's becoming stressful.
Oh, yes. But the stress is so much fun. That's the fun part. So
we're only 5 episodes in, I think, and can you imagine what it's going to look like in another 5 episodes? It's going to be so mad.
You're going to have to get a big graphic or 2 pages, one of the two. What are you going to do?
One gigantic page. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Well, I didn't really think we'd get to 5 episodes, but here we are. But yeah.
But we definitely do want to hear what everyone else is thinking at home watching this. Are you Team Callum, i.e. have bad taste in film, or are you Team Brad and Cameron when it comes to the list that we have? Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe and do all that stuff, because we do love this format and we want to hear your guys' opinions. I've been Brad. With me has been Callum and Cameron. Where can people find you? What are you up to?
I am doing nothing at the moment. I have a podcast I do sometimes called 35-Minute Movies with my friend Awais, but currently there's no movies really in the cinemas to talk about, so we're looking at pivoting into becoming a Vin Diesel fan podcast. So yeah, just the clear movement there. So yeah, maybe that'll be a thing coming soon. Who knows? So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm at CamzoOG on Twitter if you want to find out what I end up doing in the future.
The Pacifier is a great film. I'd love to hear you talk about that. I mean, now I'm kind of setting myself into this podcast.
Come and talk about it. When we get to The Pacifier, you can come and talk about it.
Well, Cameron, thank you very much for joining us. We've had great fun, and thank you all for watching. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.